Yeah, Mike and I were talking, and we just thought it'd be a good idea for me to share a little bit about my journey so far, being a new Christian. First of all, how good was worship today? I thought it was really cool, yeah. I think it makes a big difference with the keyboard as well. It just brings something a bit different, you know? So, well done. Good job. Have we got the first slides, guys? Okay, so the way I'm going to do this, for most of you know, I work in the medical industry, and everything that I do is around data and statistics and analysing information. And basically, when you work within a clinical environment, unless you've got data or statistics or facts and figures, then you're not really going to go very far. Nurses and clinicians, you need proof for everything. Essentially, you need proof. So I've kind of done a bit of a business presentation, just for something different. Church.
Where's your suit?
I was thinking about that, but I can't wear that every day. Sunday's my day off. So, yeah, so this is my journey so far. So if we want to flip to the next slide. I'd normally have a clicker here, but... yeah. So I was just looking around on the internet, and I found this, and I thought it was pretty cool. It sounded pretty much like me, Christian under construction. You know, I don't know loads about Christianity. I don't know what's going to come next, but I think that's the exciting bit for me. So what I want to do is I want to show you how I got here, and just a few little things that went along the way. So next slide. So about 7 months ago now, 6, 7 months ago, Kate was in a place where she was having some trouble with friendships and so forth, and she wanted to speak to the Holy Spirit and ask for some direction on that. And can you move out of the way of things like this? So Kate went and asked the Holy Spirit, what should I do here? And the Holy Spirit did respond and said, stop trying so hard, let me guide you, and let me put people in your path. And Kate felt a real strong desire then to fellowship with more Christian people, because the issues she was having was outside the church. So, then what happened was the very next day, and I mean the next day, Kate bumped into
oh no!
This beautiful guy. So it's actually true. So Kate did ask the Holy Spirit, what should I do here? And the Holy Spirit was talking to Kate and saying, you need to fellowship with more Christian people. And I can't think of a stronger Christian guy than that guy right there to bump into. So I think that was a real message, and God put in something in Kate's path to help her along the way. So and that had a really, really positive impact. Then, move on to the next slide, please. What happened was after that, there was so Jason invited Kate to a lazy Sunday. He invited Kate to spend more time with him and Ness, which she did then, and you know, the kids get on so well, and they went to the parks and all these different things. And then lazy Sunday came up, and Kate asked me if I would go, and if I'm honest, the bacon rolls did it. So I did actually think, well, you know, you hear about all these things about crazy Christians, and oh yeah, they're a bit weird. So, you know, all these things run through my mind, and I eventually turned up and found it was all true. So, what some people would say now is, Kate asked God, Kate asked the Holy Spirit, what should I do? And the Holy Spirit said, you need to fellowship with more Christian people. So, the very next day, Kate bumped into Jason. So what is that? Is that coincidence? And this is what I want to talk about, really, because I think a lot of things in our lives are put down to coincidence. Yeah. And I want to show you how big some coincidence can be, and then kind of think, well, is that coincidence, or is that someone putting you on a path? So, if you go to the next slide, please. So in my life, until recently, I didn't have many Christian friends, and you hear a lot about luck, and you hear a lot about coincidence, the word coincidence. Oh, that's a coincidence, isn't it? You also hear about, it's written in the stars. You hear all these different things, but I never really used to hear much about guidance or faith, belief, God's will, God's path for you. Those are the terms that I didn't really hear in my life. But so many things has happened over the last 7 months, so many coincidences, that I've kind of been measuring them. And in my data head that I do, I've been trying to put it all together and think, wow, these are some big coincidences, So now I want to prove that it can't be coincidence. It's too big. It's too big. So if you go to the next slide. So here we go. Some nice graphs for you. Excel courses are available. So, for Kate to bump into Jason that day, and bear with me, it is just a bit of fun. The population of Cwmbran is 50,000 people. The population of Newport, where Jason lives, is 147,700 people. So, the stats for Kate to bump into Jason the very next day that she was told to seek more Christian friends, the stat would be 197,700 to 1. That's a lot of coincidence, isn't it? That's a big coincidence, don't you think? Next, please. So, Kate used to go to a different church before she came here. I went a few times. Actually, I went, if you look at the statistics, every 26 weeks I would go to church. Kate would go once. I played more golf, which is, I'm going to be battling that in the summer, I'm not going to lie.
Longer night.
So the stats for me to go to church are 26 to 1. You following? Yeah? Great. Moose. Next. So, then I thought about the reason I come to church now, apart from coincidence, and I thought, the last church Kate went to, I connected with quite minimal people. I didn't feel a drag. Nothing was pulling me back, and I think, although it's the obvious, which is we come to worship God and we think about God, I think the people in the church make the church, and they're the guys who are pulling you in. That's what pulls you back every week. I didn't get that in Kate's last church. And there was only a few people I actually connected with on any kind of level whatsoever. So then I worked out, well, say there's 200 people in that church. I connected with, say, 5 people. So the odds that I connect with someone in a church are 40 to 1. So you can see why I'm building a picture here. Next. You like grass?
No, I really.
Okay. So then I thought, well, what about Faith Church? What pulls me back to Faith Church every week? And I thought, well, it is the people. It's the people. I like coming because I like the people. And I think Lazy Sunday is a great idea because it really got me straight away, because it gave me time to connect with people and time for people to come up and introduce themselves, and and everyone's so friendly, and that for me, and because it's a smaller church as well, I think that for me pulled me in and dragged me back every week, so it's a really, really positive thing for me that we're a bit of a smaller church at the moment, even though we're growing, and I believe we're going to be growing far quicker in the next 6 to 12 months. For me, this is what pulled me back in. So once again, is it all coincidence? Next slide. So, if we're going to add all this up, we need to add up the chance that Kate's bumping into Jason, and we need to add up me going to church, me connecting with people. So the actual statistics around that are 197,776 to 3. So then what I did was I thought, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? So I thought of something else that you would have to do to get that kind of statistic. And this is what I come up with. You would have to win the Grand National for the next 2,363 years in a row to get that statistic. So, I ask you again, is that coincidence? Are all those things coincidences that have happened? Because that is a lot of coincidences. And that right there, winning the Grand National for the next 2,363 years is obviously impossible. So it's got to be impossible for that to be coincidence.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Amen. Yeah. And that's why you're the best salesman in your office.
Next. So, here was my path from the very beginning. Jamal was one of the first people I connected with. We're unbelievably similar in the things and what we think and how we do things. And it was becoming a bit weird that, you know, we like the same cars and we want to do the same things and we both like golf. And it was a bit of a bromance straight away. So that was a bit odd. But also, Jamal, I'm not going to go into it, but there was something he was looking at. And he needed someone with medical device experience, just so happens to be me, but more specifically, wound care experience. Now, I should have put that into odds, because in the whole population of Wales, there's probably only 40 people in the whole of Wales who work in the capacity that I work in wound care. So now you're talking millions to one here, you know, hundreds of thousands to one, masses of coincidence. Mike needed someone to help push faith forward, and there's, I believe in any church you need lots of different support functions and lots of people putting in and supporting and driving things forward. But however, Mike needed more people, and then I came in and helped him do that, and I'll continue to help him do that. And I think for me as well, I needed a pastor, like I say here, that showed me Christianity isn't one way. There's not one way. There's not loads of rules. There's not loads of people telling you what to do and how to do it. There's different ways. There's different ways. And even though the core is the same and the core's there, everyone's relationship with God is different and everyone does something differently. And Mike really helped me with that and to show me that, you know, you don't have to be that weird Christian as some people can be. And I also thought about something that really stuck with me. I was with Ness and Jace and Kate, and we went for some lunch. And I think I'd been here about 4 times, something like that. And Jason said to me over lunch, he said, "When did you become a Christian, pal?" And I said, "Well, to be honest with you, Jason, I don't really class myself as a Christian." And then Ness said, "Well, it's not difficult. It's not hard. It's not a test that you've got to pass or an exam you've got to sit. It's simply, do you believe that Jesus died on the cross for us? Yeah. Do you believe that?"
Yeah.
And that's what she said.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that is so simple.
Yeah.
Because I do. So that must mean I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And I've got loads to learn, and I'm sure I'll develop my knowledge over the years, and you know, working and being around people like Jason and Mike, and you know. But essentially, do you believe? Do you have that faith?
Yeah.
And do you thank God for what you've got and what you do?
Yeah.
And yes, I do.
Yeah.
So I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Amen.
Easy. So that is still more coincidences?
Yeah.
Is that what we're calling them now? Or should we call them paths?
Yeah.
Let's call them paths, yeah. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
Now I want you to, what I want you to do, and not just now, but today and for the rest of the week, is think about how much of a coincidence it is that you're sat here. Because I bet you, the same as me, loads of different things happened before you actually got sitting here. Loads of different things. And when you think back at what those different things are, they're things where you go one route and all of a sudden you're being pushed another, and then you're pushed another, and then all of a sudden you're pushed into here. And why? You know, have a think about why that is, and what is your path, and how you've got to where you are. I think it's, you know, when you start really tracing back all the processes that happened for you to be here. I mean, look at Mike. Mike's bounced around the world. You know, he's never stopped. Helen must have been literally screaming, please. Helen's just stopped for 5 minutes. So, you know, is that not a path? Is that what happened for Mike? Mike's here, but he went so many different places before he got here. Which to me is, you know, amazing, especially a little valley back in South Wales, you know. Next slide, please. So Mike has got some big ideas. Some are a little crazy. You know, the building, and to be honest with you, you know, over the next coming weeks, you'll learn more about the building. But when you see it, when you kind of get a story around it and what we've done to be able to do it, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Mike's always thinking about new ways to connect with the community. We've got Jason building an unbelievably strong youth core. For such a small church, you know, the guys that turn up the youth every week is just amazing. What you've done, mate, to build it from nothing to what it is unbelievable achievement. You know, there's strong leaders in the church, and I absolutely love our new strapline, which is faith starts the journey. I think that, you know, it works so well, doesn't it? You know, faith church starts your journey, your faith starts your journey, my faith started my journey, and I got that from faith. So it's, yeah, I'm really up with that one. I think it's the last slide. So like I said, my work is all about data. So in God I trust. Everyone else, if you want me to believe you, you must bring data. And like I say, guys, faith does start the journey. So it's me.